Today, I want to tell you about my secret weapon for the best garden ever. It's my secret strategy that has helped me produce some of the very best vegetables over the past few years. This is the number one tool you need for starting a new vegetable garden. I have grown my own food many times throughout my life, but after a divorce in 2011 and then buying this house in 2013 as a single mom of four boys, I was working multiple jobs a lot of times just to make ends meet. So I had no spare time left for my favorite pastime and love of gardening and growing my own food. But in 2019, I finally had a big health breakthrough. And since I was trying to eat a lot of vegetables, I was still a single mom and on a very tight budget. But now I actually had a little bit of free time because my oldest two boys were adults at that point and they had not been living in the house for a while. And it was just me and the two younger boys who were now teenagers. And so I really needed something to nurture. So that year, I started my small little garden with free lumber that I had collected from my dad. And I have a video series over that. And I'll link that right up here in case you haven't watched it. At that time, I really had no intention of expanding the garden much. I was working full time for our local chamber of commerce, which was what I had been doing for 8 years. And it was something that I absolutely loved and never imagined that I would actually leave. But the following year, in the spring of 2020, the whole world flipped upside down, right? And we all went through that together. So 2020 completely changed my life. And by April of 2020, and there's Rocky, he's joining us in the video today. In April of 2020, our chamber staff had to cut our hours back drastically to save our annual budget. So not only did I find myself with more free time on my hands, but I also found myself needing to grow more food so that I could save a little more money. So it was then in the spring of 2020, that is when I discovered the best way to ensure that you're going to have a productive vegetable garden. As I was collecting free wood and expanding my garden and trying to figure out what other vegetables I wanted to grow now that I had more time and more space, I started looking around for ways to keep track of everything. And I wondered if there was a gardening app that I could utilize to track everything in the garden. And so I went on a search, and there were a handful of apps that I found. And I downloaded all of them so that I could play around with them and figure out what would work best for me. Most of those apps lacked major features that I felt like I needed. And most of the apps don't even exist anymore today. But there was one app that stood out to me. The design, the layout, it was so user friendly and so bright and colorful and eye catching. And it very quickly became my very favorite app out of every app on my phone. I'm really excited to show this to you guys today. I want to dive into this and show you guys just how amazing this app is. And they have made a lot of updates over the years. And I'm going to tell you more about that as we go through the app together. Okay, here we are. We are in the Seed to Spoon app. And this is what you see when you first log in. Well, actually, when you first download the app, you'll probably need to create an account. And when you put in your zip code, that's how they pull in your weather data and figure out what zone you're in and all of that stuff. So you can see up here where it shows that I've got 2 weeks until my last spring frost, and my last frost date is estimated for April 15th. And then right above that, you see the plant list and then your weather data and then critters. I want to go over here to the critter screen because I think this is something important for any beginner gardener to familiarize themselves with. So when you tap on that, first it pulls up the pests. So if you scroll down this list, you should familiarize yourself with some of these different pests so that you can identify them when you're in the garden. And then same thing with the beneficials up here. you want to definitely identify these because you don't want to accidentally destroy something that would be a beneficial. Now let's go back to the home screen and let me show you the weather part right here. Okay, so here's for today, but let me show you on the week. I think this is really cool. So see how it's showing me there are 48 hours over the next week, which is 29% of the week of time below 50 degrees. That's because there are so many plants that cannot go outside or you can't plant until temperatures are above 50 degrees. And so I think that's really cool to know how I didn't even realize that until just today that it even had that feature. So I think that's awesome. Now let's go to the plant list. This is what the app used to look like before they did an update last year. It used to open to this screen, and I'm excited to show you the actual plants here in a minute. But first, I still want to go through some of this home screen. So like when you come down here, you can look at this Let's Grow section, and you can see like if I tap over here on the plant now, and these are in alphabetical order, so it makes it really easy to scroll through that way. And you can see on here where it says plant outside until April 7th or plant outside until March 31st. And then on the plant soon, it tells you plant outside starting date. So I really like all of that. Now, let me show you my gardens. So if you look down here at the very bottom of the screen, you see the 3 tabs. You've got your home screen that brings you back to this screen that we're on, or the My Garden screen, and the GrowBot. And I'll talk about GrowBot in a little bit. But let's go to My Gardens. Now, I can't remember what this looks like before you've actually started adding a garden. I don't know, but I'm just going to show you what mine looks like. So if I tap up here in this green bar where it says Manage Gardens, that shows you all of my gardens that I've got currently. So what I did, and you can see some of my past gardens. I guess I archived my 2021 and my 2022 gardens, but when I realized that I had not archived 2020 and 2023 yet, I went ahead and just left them out there for now so that I could kind of show you guys. So like this was my 2020 garden. And so one thing that was really helpful about that was I was adding in my blackberries, which of course is a perennial. So I was adding that to my 2024 garden the other day, and I could not remember what variety I have. And so it dawned on me, let me go look and see if I put that in 2020. And sure enough, I did. It was the Primark Traveler. And so that was helpful that I already had that in there and everything. So let's go back to Manage Gardens and let's go to my main garden for 2024. So for right now, you can see all I've put out there is my perennials, which of course are my blackberries, my blueberries, my bee balm, all of that stuff, and my lemons. That all comes back every year, of course. And then the only thing that I've planted out in the garden so far are my Brussels sprouts, my onions, my garlic, my carrots, and my peas. Okay, so I've got all of those added, and we'll go through all of that in just a moment. But here is the other thing I want to show you. So see here, I've done indoor seed starting. Now, I just did a bunch of seed starting this past weekend, so I've still got to come back and put them in, but I decided I was going to do every seed that I started. But then I thought, you know what, let's just wait, because some of them, I did my seeds a little bit different this year and I didn't plant nearly as many as I normally do. So there is a good likelihood that some of them won't sprout. So I thought, I'll just wait until they have sprouted and then I'll come back and put them in here just to make sure. So, but let me show you, here's the cool thing. If you start an indoor seed starting garden and you add all of your seeds that you're starting in here. So like I've got some peas that I've started in here that I need to move out soon. So when I'm ready to move them out, this is what it looks like in here. See these little 3 dots down at the bottom left corner? I'm going to tap on that. And then see right here, you can move to a different garden. And so when I do go to move those out into the garden, I can just reassign it to whatever garden I put it in. So that's a pretty cool feature. And then like on the plant log, let me show you. If you tap plant log, you can do add an event. So I can put that I watered it, fertilized it, found a pest on it, rainfall. In fact, I need to put rainfall on all of my stuff right now because it rained last night. But um, anyway, oh, you know what? Let's go out of the seed starting because obviously my indoor seeds did not get rain. But let's just say, let's go to my main garden. Okay. So in here, I think I can tap on these. Yes. Okay. So I tapped in that green bar up there, the 3 dots on the far right. I tapped on that. And so that gives you garden actions. And right here, I can log an event for multiple plants. So I'm going to put rainfall. And I'm going to go through and tap all of them because they all got some rainfall last night. Did I get that last one? Okay. So they've all been marked with rainfall. I'm going to go do that for my south garden real quick too, and my grapevine grotto. Let's go into the south garden. And so right now, all I've got planted in the south garden is strawberries and garlic. So again, we're going to tap those 3 dots. Going to do rainfall. Oh, okay. I hit the buttons too fast earlier, I guess. So I need to go back and change that. That was actually March 24th. Or actually, I don't know that screen popped up previously. Anyway, grapevine grotto. They also got rainfall. And my elderberries out front. Okay, so we got that stuff done. So let me go back into my gardens. Let's go to main garden just for an example. Okay, so now if I go over here to task, it's showing me my favorites up here. But you can also down here about mid-screen, you can change the date too. Like if you're wanting to know what you can plant next week or something, if you're trying to plan out your month and you know you've got a certain weekend free or something, you can change that date to try to figure that out. But for right now, let's just say we're trying to figure out today what I need to know right now. So this third one down, see where it says plant outside now? Let's tap on that. Now the ones in red, that's telling me that it's like that time's about to expire. So if I'm going to plant these things outside, I need to get those done like ASAP because you can see the Brussels sprouts, calendula, chives, onions, strawberries. They all only have until March 31st. Today's March 25th. So that's less than a week that I've got that I can get those outside. And so then everything else, it's telling me I can plant those until, like, I can go ahead and plant them outside now up until the date that it says. So let's close that one. Let's look at start indoors now. So if I were going to be doing some seed starting, so like, for example, basil, if I'm going to start seeds of basil, I can start those inside up until March 31st. After that, I might as well just go ahead and sow the seeds outdoors, if that makes sense. And then let's close this one. And then the time to plant soon you can kind of go through here and get an idea. You can look at anything that you know you're wanting to grow, and you can go, okay, let's see, cantaloupe. I can start planting that after April 14th. Or lemons, you can start planting after March 31st, So anyway, and then once your garden's going and everything, it even lets you know like when it's getting close to time to harvest and things like that too. So that's pretty cool as well. And then also when you're out in the garden, if you need to add some notes for yourself, you can take photos, you can add notes here, and you can do that on an individual plant too. So like right here, I can change the plant picture. I can log an event. Well, I was thinking I could add the photo from here. I haven't done that in a while, so some of this stuff has changed since I've played around with those certain features. But anyway, okay, so now let's get into my favorite part. Oh, and let me show you this menu over here on the side. So you can get back to your dashboard. You can get to your garden. You can just go to the overview of the entire plant list. Oh, you can even add a custom plant. So like typically I add my peanuts in because peanuts are one thing that they don't have in here that I do grow. But they've got a lot of things in here. So, but anyway, you can add custom plants in. Let's see here. Okay. So let me go back to my garden. Manage gardens. Come on, go back. Okay. So let me show you. Oh, you know what? Let's go into onions because I have some onions that I need to plant. Actually, this isn't the way I want to go. Let's go here. Let me show you. If I search here for onion, it'll pull it up. Okay, now we're in the actual like growing guide section. So every plant in here has this section, okay? And they've got videos in here. They've got all kinds of information. But you see these tabs up at the top. You can kind of tab down to get, move all around, or you can just simply scroll down, whichever you prefer. So the thing that helped me in the beginning, now it comes pretty naturally on the starting dates and everything. I still like to check it sometimes to make sure, but I want to show you my very, very favorite thing. So common pests for that plant is one really good one, but my favorite thing is the companions. It's helpful to know what you can plant near it, what acts as a companion plant for something. But what I really rely on this for is what you shouldn't plant near it. And onions is one that it does have several things that you shouldn't plant near it because the onions can inhibit the growth of other plants, such as peas. So that's what I wanted to show you. So before I plant certain things in the garden, I usually check the enemies to make sure that I'm not getting ready to plant it. And before I start planning where I'm going to put things, I always check and make sure that none of the enemies are going to be sharing the same soil, like side by side. I actually am going to plant some onions in the bed next to where I've got my peas, but it's a completely separate bed, so they won't be sharing soil. But the reason why I'm doing that is because if you saw my carrot and pea video, you know that I planted my carrots and peas in one bed. Well, onions are a good deterrent of the carrot fly. And so I want to plant some onions near my carrots, but not in the same bed because I don't want them to inhibit the growth of the peas. So I'm going to plant the onions in the next bed over close to the carrots so that hopefully the carrots receive some benefit of the onions masking the scent of the carrots, if that makes sense. So as we continue scrolling down, you can see here it tells you the growing season, whether or not it can survive a hard frost. If you're into square foot gardening, it tells you how many you can plant per square. If you're going to plant it in a container, it tells you the container size, how many average days to harvest. Of course, you want to check your seed packet to be certain. But if you didn't have your packet or if you bought transplants or something, that's helpful information. Tells you about sun requirements, water requirements, how often to fertilize, all of that stuff. So it also tells you the best way to plant, whether or not you should start indoors or just direct sow or anything like that. So like, let me show you beans for an example. Should be direct sown. So let me show you what that looks like. So see, it says outdoor planting method seed because beans don't like their roots disturbed, so you have to plant those outside. So anyway, it shows you the number of days to sprout on average, how deep to plant them, the average height of the vine, things like that. But then again, let's go look at beans. And I know beans, I don't plant out until April, but let me show you. So see, I can start planting them out March 31st to April 28th. So next week I can start planting my beans. And here's some of the pests, but like I said, I like to come check the enemies. And so of these items, the ones that I have in my garden are banana peppers, bell peppers, Brussels sprouts, garlic, hot peppers, kale, onions, sweet peppers, tomatoes, and zinnias. So I just have to make sure not to plant my beans near any of those items. But over here, let's look at friends. So see, that gives you an idea as you're looking through of what. Now see, I do have my potatoes in a bed that has a trellis on one end. So that is where I could plant some beans. I just need to make sure, can I plant beans near onions? Because that's where I was going to put some more onions by the carrots. And that's a no. So nope, not going to put the beans in there. So I hope that makes sense for you guys, that how you can see how to do that. And then when you're in here, as you're going through, if you go, okay, yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and plant that, you can go ahead and tap on this middle button here that says add to garden. And then let me just show you. And so it pulls this up and then you start putting in your information. You can change the planting date if you're adding this in before or after you're actually planting it. And then here you can add in on starting method, whether you did it indoors or outdoors, or if you seeded outdoors, or if you bought transplants and put them outdoors, or if you put your own transplants outdoors that you started from seed, any of that stuff. And then you can put in the number planted. You can put in the name of the planting location. You can put in your variety name, like I showed you with the blackberries. That's how I was able to remember what variety I had. And then when they do sprout, you actually come in here and you can mark that they sprouted. And then it calculates when your first harvest should be and everything too. So that's all helpful. And then it also, let's go back to the home screen. Okay, here we go. Go back to home. Okay. So up here in the top right-hand corner, see that little bell next to the shopping cart and everything? That's your notifications. If you tap on that, you'll get notifications that tell you like, okay, see up here where it says all your garden and from us, tap on your garden. And you can see like notifications that I got last year in 2023. So you can see like it tells you tap here to find out what garden tasks you have for the day. So it gives you reminders of when to water or fertilize or anything like that. Okay, guys, we have just barely scratched the surface with this app, but we are already 24 minutes in, and I am once again running out of memory on all my devices, so I've got to wrap this up for now. But I'll be sharing some more features in upcoming videos. I do highly encourage you to go download the app. Just search Seed to Spoon in your app store. Now, I am on the premium version because it's seriously worth it. And they do offer a 7-day free trial of the premium package. But even if you want to stay on the free version for now, I believe you can still access all the plants and utilize that information for planning out your garden. You just aren't able to create gardens in the app unless you are on premium, I think. I could be completely wrong about that. I also want to tell you, Carrie and Dell Spoonmore are the creators of this Seed to Spoon app. I saw on Facebook today that it's actually their 10-year wedding anniversary, so I thought that was pretty cool. So if you guys will please give them some love in the comments, I'm planning to send them this video along with the next few that I do, just to make sure that I didn't miss any important feature that I should be telling you guys about. Oh, I should also mention that this is not a sponsored video whatsoever. I just wanted to tell you guys about the app because I already recommend the app to everybody in person that I know. And I've had many people tell me that I should do a video over it and let more people know. And I do agree because I think the app is amazing and I think more people need to know about it. If you have found this video helpful at all, will you please hit the like button? Or better yet, we would love for you to subscribe if you haven't already. I've got some great videos coming out over the next few weeks, and I don't want you guys to miss them. In the meantime, check out one of our playlists over here. We have our garden playlist and our home renovation playlist. So hopefully there's something in there that would be interesting to you. Remember to go the second mile today for someone in your life and with your resources. Have a great day.